Sobering Deathbeds. Now, this chapter came from me reading a book years ago by an author named Bonnie Ware. Bonnie Ware. And she wrote a book about the top 5 regrets of the dying. So Bonnie Ware was this nurse. She was a hospice nurse. She didn't want to do it, but it was a job. It was paying good at the time. So she became a hospice nurse. So if anybody knows anything about people who work in hospice or nurses or healthcare professionals who work in hospice, they're dealing with the dying every day. Like, these are people who are on their last. Most of them are on morphine. They're just waiting for their day to come. So Bronnie, she actually worked in this facility where, people are dying. And as she began to encounter with these people who knew that their end was coming, she started to develop these stories. And as I read her book, I was like, man, like, this is really crazy, because what I notice about the dying and people who are on their last from this book that I read is the fact that, when you're about to meet your end, when you realize that, this is it, nobody cares about what job they worked. Nobody cares about, oh man, like how much money they had. Nobody cares about how much they worked. Nobody cares about the accolades they got from their job. Nobody cared about what degrees they got. At the end of their lives, she was talking about how many of the dying, a lot of the things that they were talking about is, man, like, I wish I spent more time with my kids. And let me tell you a story that really hit me. On my ways to work, when I was in that zombie state, I remember I would pull up to this very opulent community. It was one of those gated communities, very opulent. And I remember I'd pull up. And I would drive by, not pull up. I'm acting like I went there or something. But I remember I drove by this very opulent community. And my in-laws lived not too far from there. And I remember I would always see this dad. I mean, I don't know why. Of course, I know why it caught my attention, because it's something I wanted to do. I remember seeing this man. He would always be walking his son to school. His son had been 10, 11 years old at the time. And he was getting a school bus. I saw the house he came out of. I saw the cars he was driving. I mean, dude had all black everything, literally. Rims to tints, everything. So anyway, this guy would always walk his son to the bus stop. And that intrigued me. You see, most people would have probably not cared. They would have saw that and said, hey, it means nothing to them. But to me, it meant something, because I was on that run. I was on that morning hustle, that morning grind. I was lost. I didn't know where I was going. I was always in that zombie vegetative state, just always going to and from work, picking up, and all this mess. And one time I stopped to ask him. I said, sir, what do you do for a living? He was like, I own a pizza shop not too far away from here. And I said, you know what? I really respect the fact that you walk your son to the bus stop. He was like, this is why I'm in business. He said this is why he's in business. For the sole fact of being able to walk his son to school. And I was like, I want that. So back to the author, Miss Ware, and she was talking about how a lot of them spoke about how they wish they spent more time with their kids. They wish they traveled more. I mean, I'm doing this series just coming out of quarantine. Just coming out of the pandemic, which we're still fighting. But one of the things I really regret is that I didn't travel much. And I'll confess that. I'm not afraid to say that. So Bonnie Ware was like, a lot said, I wish I saw the world. I wish I got to see things more. I wish I would have left my job sooner. A lot of people said that. I wish I would have quit. I wish I would have started a side business. I mean, these are the things we talk about, right? These are the things we desire and hope. It never goes away. So now, even at the last moments of these people's lives, they still were like, man, I wish I pursued what I wanted to do. And this is why I always tell people, live life on your own terms. Live life on your own terms. Because you've only got one. You've only got one try at this thing. So sobering deathbeds. I know soon we're all going to be there. But when I get there, I want to be a champion. I could envision, as I was writing this chapter, I envisioned myself being 90 years old or whatever. And my children are there, my grandchildren are there, my wife is there, and maybe some great grandchildren, who knows, God willingly. And I envision me just, being in my mansion. I'm in my mansion, and a beautiful picture, hand painted picture of me hangs on top of the, somewhere in the house. And I'm in my bed and I'm telling my grandchildren, the stories of old, the things I've conquered. Passing over birthrights. That's for my next book. Giving them birthrights. Telling my son, now you can do this. Now this is for you. Now pass it on to your son. That's what I envision. I envision passing over wisdom, knowledge, the stuff I've been through, the stuff I've overcome. I don't want to lay in a bed of regrets, and I don't want that for you. So think on that.